Permits to get out of Gaza are issued for medical reasons only. An East Jerusalem Palestinian ID can go to the West Bank, but often in this situation, they have to take circuitous routes to go through many checkpoints to get there. A U.S. citizen married a Palestinian woman living in Ramallah, a city only, and he could only get 3-month visa extensions following his marriage. So each time he had to leave the country, he didn't know if he was going to be allowed to come back or not. This happened for about 6 times. Finally, in his last extension of the visa, he was informed it was not going to be extended further, not issued further. This gave him a dilemma because he wanted very much to be with his wife. And so he elected to become a Palestinian citizen, which meant his U.S. passport no longer was valid. It meant that he would have to abide by the Palestinian laws, which would very much limit what he could do. Yeah.
She couldn't leave?
He could leave.
No, his wife couldn't leave.
Well, no, they would be happy to see the two of them and their family leave the country. But when they choose to remain, that's when things get really tough.
If they left, they couldn't come back.
Yeah. So he is in this dilemma, and he decides he will become a Palestinian. And as a result of that, he has his citizenship as a Palestinian, but his ID now prohibits him from going to East Jerusalem at all. And that's where he had his business. So he lost his business as a result of this dilemma. His U.S. passport is stamped with a Palestinian resident's ID number. This is the only country where U.S. passports don't give access to go everywhere. I think we're good. Okay, if you have a South African pass under apartheid, it told you where you were permitted to live, travel, and work. If you're married to someone not permitted to live where you live, you couldn't live together. Same thing is true in Israel. The separation exists both places. Whites could go anywhere in South Africa, live or work anywhere. Colored or Asians had their own passes. In intermarriage in Israel, there's no law against it, but residency becomes a problem. Where can you live? In South Africa, it was against the law to intermarry. As far as work is concerned, Palestinians often work in the low-level jobs in factories, mines, and farms. But we found most blacks had to migrate to work in factories and mines and farms as well. Sometimes wives went to the areas of their husband's work and were able to bring their children when they found work. But often they were squatting and living illegally in South Africa. Many families were living in the Bantustans and hoping for remittances from their husbands working elsewhere. Demolition of homes and population transfer in Israel, Palestine, demolition of entire villages within the Palestinian towns, and East Jerusalem were put into practice. And I was overwhelmed by the enormity of the walls that now separate in Palestine different communities from one another. They're 30 feet high. And in one place where you work, when you worked right across where the wall is erected was where your farm was, where you farmed. And so you now have to go this circuitous route through checkpoints galore before you can get to your own land. So that's another frustration.